Head over to miniaturemarket.com where they have thousands of board games at discounted prices like Berried Treasure. Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. You're about to see my Allegro 1-minute overview and final thoughts. This is designed to see if this game warrants more of your time. If it does, just keep watching because then you'll see my full intro overview and final thoughts. However, if you don't want to be spoiled anything and you want to skip right to the full review, use the time index below in YouTube. Berried Treasure is a set collection game where you're trying to collect different types of desserts and getting points for those depending on the round. The game's played over 3 rounds, and each round you're going to be scoring depending on what you've collected. Like if I had the most blueberries, I'd get 10 points. But if I was tied with somebody with the most, neither of us get anything, and the next player might be able to swoop in and get the 10 points for even maybe possibly just having 1 blueberry. You'll score each of these for first, second, and third place, and you'll do this over 3 rounds, each round having a new scoring card, so you know what might be coming up, but you're not exactly sure because you only use 3 of these 4, and all your cards stay from round to round. On your turn, you're simply taking one of the cards on one of the ends of the columns, but you gotta watch out because you might be opening up plays for other players. More allows you to grab a second card if it's on the edge of that color, getting 2 of them. But that opens up a paw where some player will take this and possibly steal one of the cards that you just got of that type. This continues until they're all gone, then you'll be scoring, but you keep all of your cards throughout the game, and you'll go through 3 total rounds. Whoever has the most points at the end is the winner. Berried Treasure's artwork looks beautiful, draws you right into those beautifully tasting sweets. They streamlined Sid Sackson's original pirate-themed game, even the original game from 1962. This is a simple set collection and drafting game. Sid Sackson, the designer, was way ahead of his time. The way the drafting opens up cards for opponents, giving you really good decisions with an easy mechanism. Tied players can't score, they cancel each other out. I love that. Sid was a brilliant genius back then. Cards stay round and round, so you're not just looking at what am I doing right now, you're thinking of longer term planning as well. Simple game, but definitely more depth than meets the eye. The 2-player variant works really well where you sit across the table. You can only take specific cards on your side, unless you get a special card. On the negative sides, it has take that. You might not like that. It's not too bad. It spreads around, but you might not like that. Also, I wish the cards would be thicker, but you don't really handle them that much in the end. It got a Saxophone Serenade. It's staying in my gaming library. Hello, my friends. It's the Game Boy Geek here. Today, we're going to be getting Berried Treasure, but not the kind like pirates, but buried as in berries, because today we're going to be getting all sorts of macaroons and pies and all sorts of yummy stuff, tarts. Today we're going to be looking at Berried Treasure. This is sort of a set collection take that game. It is a Sid Sackson game. The late great Sid Sackson designed this, and this is redone and redeveloped by Restoration Games. So let me show you how it's played. I'll see you on the other side. Now this game used to be a pirate game called Berried Treasure. It was even a game older than that as well. But this one was Berried Treasure with berry as in a fruit. Because over the course of the game, you're going to be getting different Berried Treasure cards from raspberry macaroons, some lemon tarts, some mocha lava cakes, and some blueberry pies. And over the course of the game, you're going to be getting points for those in these beautifully cute little pies and cookies and things like that. The game is 3 rounds long. Each round, a random scorecard is going to come up, and each scorecard has each dessert once. Blueberry pies, the raspberry macaroons, mocha lava cakes, and the lemon tarts. And in this case, in this round, blueberries, if you have the most of them, you're going to be 10 points. Second most, 5 points. Third place, third most, all the way down to lemons. So these are worth the least this round. These are worth the most. However, you have to think a little bit in the future because new scoring cards will come out. And each type of dessert will be on the scorecard once, but they'll be sort of rearranged in different orders, and you're gonna be collecting these different types, but they don't go away at the end of the round. You're gonna be keeping those for the whole time. So if nobody's paying attention to lemon tarts this round, you might wanna go heavy on it, knowing that at some point it's definitely gonna be higher in the scoring. So what you do on your turn is, we have the cards here, and on your turn you're simply going to take one of the cards on this end. It's all these other cards are sort of covered. You can't get at them, but you can see what they are. So for example, someone might take this blueberry pie and they'll put it in front of themselves. However, that wasn't a smart move because the next card here says more. If you get a card that says more, the next player takes this. They can take one more of this type, which is the lemon tarts, if there's one available, and there is, like right here. So they would take that. So they essentially just got 2 of those. While the next player Wow, there's a third player there, and we saw the paw. Well, the paw allows you to take that many of this type of dessert from any single player. So the third player takes this, uses the single paw to take the blueberry that first player took and put it in front of them. They take it from them and put it in front of themselves, just like that. Those are the three main things. You're gonna go, and as you're taking things, you're seeing what it's unlocking and what it's actually uncovering for other players. And again, the two paws allows players to take 2 from a certain player, 3 of that type from a certain player, assuming they have those up to that many. But as you're uncovering things, well, someone might really want this, but they might have a lot of lemons. So they might not really want to do that, because if they take this, then someone else might take this and steal their lemon. So you're looking ahead and going, I might really want this card, but I'm going to see if somebody else might, take this right before me, and then I can get this so nobody takes mine. All right, so maybe you do something else. Maybe you just take this. So there's different strategies as to what you're taking. Maybe possibly, hey, more, taking another one. By the way, if you get a more card and it had paws on it, you don't get to do that ability. It's not like super, super powerful. That's pretty much it. You're gonna keep doing this till all these cards are gone. Then we'd look at the scorecard for that round. We go, hey, who has the most blueberries? Ooh, I do. I have 3. Okay, I'd get 10 points. Second place is 5 points. Big twist here is that if players have the same amount, like let's say I had 3 and another player was tied with me with the most with 3, well, we don't get anything. We sort of cancel each other out, and maybe somebody slid in with just 1 blueberry and gets the big amount there. So it's a really interesting tiebreaker. You see in a popular game like Las Vegas and things like that. It really does a little twist of when you're taking cards and looking at things and when things are going to get taken. And you do that for each of these, and you'd score all these points, and then you'd set up another round just like before. Now, as I showed at the beginning of the video, the tokens for points are kept just like this. Now, here are the 4 different bonus cards. At the beginning of the game, you shuffle these up and you only use 1 of them each round, but there's only 3 rounds, which means you don't have perfect information. So, and again, each dessert is in each of the 4 places, and the points are always the same regardless of which place they're in on each of the cards, as you can see. But let's say we were working on those lemons, right? And we told you that, hey, you know what? We were going to concentrate on lemons in that first round because no one else was taking them, and we got, you know what? We'll stock up now because we know it's going to be good later, right? So say maybe the next round, this scorecard comes up, and you're like, oh man, it's not great. Let's see, am I going to get the best one or not? And then you know that there's 1 round left, so you know that lemons are either going to be in the second place or the first place. And maybe, the last one comes out like, oh, thank God, okay, it's the first place. At least I'll be able to be in a good position to probably win that. So you never have perfect information, and that adds a little bit of twist to the game as well. After 3 rounds, whoever has the most points is the winner. As I mentioned in the intro, this is a Sid Sackson design. In fact, this is his first known published design back in 1962. It was High Spirits with Calvin and the Colonel, and that was based upon a short-lived children's cartoon show, which was based on the Amos and Andy radio show and TV shows. But then it was reprinted in '92 called Berried Treasure, as in Pirates Berried Treasure, where now it's into like a pie theme of Berried Treasure. A quick note there, by the way, Suzanne Sheldon, who does behind the scene works with restoration games. She's on the Dice Tower, well-known media personality. She's a friend of mine. The rules of this game say you go first if your name is Suzanne Sheldon or you love pies, which is hilarious because Suzanne is both of those. Or maybe you're the last one to eat pies or something like that. And it just shows you the attention to detail that Restoration brings to everything they do, and that's just like one little example of what they do in that way, and everything they do is just fun. So let's talk about what I like about the game. I like the change in the theme and the artwork. The artwork just looks nice. You put the cards on the table, it just looks nice. They know what they're doing when it comes to just presenting things in a nice way. The artwork matches sort of the feeling of the game. It's it can easily play with kids. You don't take it too seriously. It just looks nice and it fits the game. They did a great job sort of streamlining here this Sid Sackson from not only the pirate theme, but I went back and tried to read the original rules, even of the 1962, couldn't find that anywhere. But I did find the Berried Treasure and read through that. It looks like in that version you actually got a hand of cards that you could play cards instead of taking a card. And so they sort of streamlined that out. I've never played the original version, but I trust Restoration Games that they did some things to make this game more seamless than it was back in the day. This is a simple set collection drafting game. Very easy to teach. You're up and running. Literally, I could teach this game in less than a minute. And this just shows you that Sid Sackson is one of my favorite designs of all time. If you don't know him, he's the one that's probably most well known for doing Acquire. He is probably the most well-known American board game designer. He is no longer with us. He is the late great Sid Sackson. Some people call him the grandfather of game design. He was so ahead of his time in so many ways. And in this, I love that with the drafting of cards, you're opening up cards for opponents. As I showed you in the overview, it's like, oh, I could pull this one, but that's going to leave that out for that, and I'm susceptible to that, so I don't want to do this. I'll wait for someone else to do that. Maybe I'll get it later. And just the ramifications of it just looks so simple. Take a card. But there's so much thought you could put into that as to looking around and seeing what's there, see what cards are next to it. It's just a beautiful thing. It's almost a precursor to what was done in Seven Wonders Duel, where the drafting opens up cards for new players and those actually flip up. You know, and it was like almost like this set the table for those to build on top of. I also love that this mechanism that I did not know it came out that long ago, that when players tie for scores, they cancel each other out. I love that in games. I love it in Las Vegas, which is the Spiel des Jahres nominee that I love. It also is done in Renature, which was like my family game of the year this year. I love it when this is done, but he was doing this back in the day. Now again, I don't know if that's how it scored in 1962, but if it did, I'd be blown away that he figured that out back then. He probably did. But if not, you know, it was in the Berried Treasure. I read those rules. But I love that Sid Sackson's always ahead of the game, always ahead of the years of his design. I like that the cards stay round to round for future planning. Because you're trying to figure out, like I showed you, like, hey, I'll get a bunch of lemons. They stink. No one's going after them these rounds because they're the worst ones. But you know what? It's going to come around, and it's going to be worth more and more each round. And so I'm setting myself up for a longer play here. So I like that the cards stick around because you are not just tactically doing what can I do best right now. You're also thinking about future ramifications, and I like that. I like the two-player variant, which was not in the rules in the 1992 version. So definitely Restoration Games completely developed this. I didn't show it on the overview, but there's a different way that the cards get laid out, and you sit across from someone and you can only pull from your side and they can only pull from their side. Unless you take the more cards, then you can take one from their side. It adds just enough of a difference to make it work really well with two players. So I like that because I often play games with two players. On the negative side of things, there is some take that there. It's light and easy. Everyone's sort of doing it to everyone else, so I don't have a problem with it. I actually like take that in games, but some people, if you don't like take that, it might not be a perfect game for you, but it's not that bad. Everyone's doing it to everyone. I don't think it's a problem, but if you don't like take that, it's in this game. Also, I guess the cards could have been a little bit better quality, maybe a little thicker, or maybe have linen finish, but I also realized that the size of the box this is, and the MSRP they're trying to get it to, it probably just wasn't feasible because of how they spent money on the other things in the game. But I will also say that even though it's a negative, it's not like you're holding these cards, it's not like you're shuffling them every round, it's not like you're playing them constantly. They get shuffled once, you lay them out, and you just collect them. So it's not that big of a deal in the end, but I would have liked to have had that. But it probably would have pushed it out of the price range it's in. So with all that being said, I love this revamping of the Sid Sackson classic Berried Treasure here. And I like it so much that it is staying in my gaming library, which means I've got to kick something out of my gaming library. And for this reason, it's getting a Saxophone Serenade. Let's hit it. Game Toppers not only transforms your existing table to a high-quality gaming solution, they now offer full leg kits and dining cover solutions for the full table application. Paired with their amazing thematic premium stitch edge mats from noted board game artists like Vincent Dutray, collapsible cup holders, and really cool accessories, it's a complete system that upgrades every game you play. Go to GameToppersLLC.com or click the link below.